All right, you guys, we are live. Let's get some more people into the chat room. I have Miss Estelle Achinko with me.
Correct.
Glad to have you on. It is, and I'm happy, and I'm glad to get the sisters to come on the platform to speak. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that you were here. And what's up, Michael O? So Michael was first to the chat room, and so what we're gonna do today is we're going to discuss into detail. Miss Estelle, Miss Achinko wanted to give her I guess her ideas or her reasons on why Africa is at the bottom, and then let's keep it positive. So we'll discuss why Africa is at the bottom, and then we need to also give some solutions on how we get Africa back on top. Because I'm a firm believer, if you're going to criticize something, we also have to provide the solutions, unless we're just on here, or we're just on here talking shit. You know what I mean? So Estelle, thank you for hopping on today.
Thank you for inviting me.
This beautiful Saturday. You said you're in Chicago right now. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot as hell in Chicago. That's the one thing about these Midwest cities people have to understand. Like during the summertime, these Midwest cities get hot, hotter than the South. Because I remember I was in Omaha, Nebraska, back in like 98 or 99, and it was hot as hell out there. So,
okay,
yeah. So Estelle, you're originally from Cameroon, correct?
Correct.
Tell us about, because for some reason, whenever Cameroon's in the news, it's negative. Because I know you guys had that soccer player that was supposedly fixing games or fixing matches or something like that, crazy like that.
Yeah.
But you guys got a very good soccer team. But tell us about life in Cameroon, like how you grew up there, and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'll reintroduce myself again. I'm Estelle. I'm a student. A graduate student at DePaul. I'm into film media and women's studies. And I came over to the United States in 2015.
Okay.
And so 3 years now. And the reason I came for studies precisely. And well, I grew up in Cameroon all my life before moving to the United States, and it was a wonderful, wonderful childhood growing up. And I grew up with my parents, my siblings, and we were just too united and connected. And then I'm the youngest of 5 children, and then along the line, you must move on in life. So everybody started moving out of the house, and just I was left with my, I think, my sister and some of my cousins. So, but then it was a great experience. We grew up. I would say I'm from an average family. At least my father was somebody who believed in education and made sure that we all went to school and be educated. So he was an accountant in the university, and he did everything and sacrificed everything for us to get that education, which I'm very grateful for today. I think he feels fulfilled as a father as well. So I think that's what I have about myself. But then for Cameroon is a wonderful place, although now it's actually in crisis.
But what's going on in Cameroon?
Yeah.
When you say crisis, what's going on?
Yeah, so like colonial history and the colonization of Cameroon. So we had 2 colonial powers. We had English and French.
Right.
So Britain came, colonized, and France came in. So, but internationally, Cameroon is known as a French-speaking country. Many people don't know that we speak English in Cameroon, but the smaller portion that was colonized by Britain is where I come from. They call it both Northwest and Southwest regions. So that is where I come from that part. And but we have been, the country has been great so far when it comes to being peaceful.
Okay.
Until now, because the leader has been in power for 35 years.
How long?
35.
So let me ask you this: how do you with you guys having a leader that's been in power for 35 years?
Yeah.
Some people will consider that a dictatorship.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on having the same leader for 35 years? And is there anything positive that can come from that versus having, I guess, a democratic election?
Yeah, I would say first of all, I think most African leaders haven't understood, even Africans, they haven't understood the concept of democracy, and they don't even understand what they are doing, So it's really something that we just it's out of many citizens are just like, okay, at least if I can survive or really manage and put something on the table for my family, life goes on, But I don't think that we are at that point as Africans living the life we are supposed to live.
Right.
Living a fulfilled life, being satisfied with your life, But you just a life without a purpose, a life where many people are like don't even know why they are here or why you are living that life. So there is just a lot going on, and therefore for the leadership, I would say the leadership is really a failure.
Okay.
I think we are in times where there is dearth leadership. There is Africa is, I think that we need a revolution, because
A lot of people have said that now, and not to cut you off, a bloody revolution? Like what kind of revolution?
To me, I don't know, but I think that so it will be bloody. Some people will have to die for progress to take place. And it's just terrible. Just because looking at my country, all what we are going through now and the crisis that is on now is because of the after effects of colonialism.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are leaders or these are puppets that were put in place by their colonial master. So they are there because they are actually satisfying the need of Europeans, of the West, and not for their people, So that is the kind of leadership we have.
Okay. Let me ask you this so people can understand. So a lot of people say, okay, well, Africa has Black leadership. Okay. Why are they failing? Then people say, well, they're puppets of the colonial master. Can you somewhat discuss the process of a colonial master, or say the French or the English or America, the process of them picking out somebody specific to lead in power and serve their best interest and not the African's best interest? And then also, what do they really get in return for selling out? Can you explain that a little bit, if possible?
Perfect. Yeah. This will take us back back in time. First of all, if you look at the reasons for slavery, and then you will know why colonialism happened. Slavery happened earlier than colonialism in Africa. So it was during the I think the 1600s,
I think maybe before, yeah, 1600s.
Yes, 1600s. Yeah. So slavery happened, and slavery happened at a time when Europe was in a crisis, and they needed to um, the needed to keep their civilization and their structure going. But they needed people, they needed labor, they needed manpower, and so slavery happened, and Africa was a target. So they came into Africa, got the slaves they wanted, and moved back. And when I think when they abolished slavery, Europe found out that there was something going on in this continent they call Africa.
Right.
Because they had been there before. So they said, you know what, we need to do something again. And even when you see the way Africa was partitioned, or what they call the scramble for Africa.
Right, the Berlin Conference.
It was something that Africans were not aware of,
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, well, of course.
Actually, Europeans sat down, drew the map of Africa, divided their territories, how they were going to conquer those territories in their own. In fact, they had drawn the map and partitioned everything, and then they came in with the plan already made, and Africans started feeling the effects of those things, but later on. And so when they got back into what they call the scramble for Africa after slavery, that was when the United States decided to stay aloof and practice what they call isolationism, because they didn't want to engage anymore with Africa since they had taken slaves.
Right.
So now it was Europe, it was France, it was Spain, it was Italy, it was Portugal. These were the countries, Germany. These were the countries that came into Africa now during colonialism. So with everything planned out, and as they got into Africa, they imposed rules. So there was what they call indirect rule, assimilation. France imposed assimilation. The British imposed what they call indirect rule. So this is how they ruled the territories. So in ruling these territories, at the same time, they were exploiting it. So they exploited these territories and got what they wanted, until we had now revolutionaries and Pan-Africanists who came up at a time like Kwame Nkrumah. And then I think it was a wind of change going around the continent.
Right.
A wind of change going around this Black environment where they were struggling to seize their independence. You had Marcus Garvey, and then all this connection, and at the time you had Malcolm X. All these people were rising at the same time,
Right. You're right.
And so when Kwame Nkrumah, because Ghana was actually the first country, so with Kwame Nkrumah coming up, and then you had Haile Selassie, you had this other Patrice Lumumba. So all these leaders, they were really fighting for this independence, and then you saw how this went around the continent. Like I said, it was actually a wind of change happening, and so they gained their independence from these people. So when Africa gained its independence, it was not really a complete independence, I would say.
Right.
Yes, it wasn't complete, because they had actually, since Europeans had drafted out everything and to fit their agenda, because they didn't care what Africans felt. It wasn't their business. It wasn't about Africa's interest. It was about their own interest. So they had mastered the terrain. They had carved out a lot of things. So while they left, they had to impose this leaders that will fit their interest. So with the coming of, like I said, Kwame Nkrumah and Patrice Lumumba, Haile Selassie, who had fought so hard.
Yeah, like you said, it's funny because I guess the kind of like the Pan-African We're still around the Black empowerment movement all started at the same time from
Yeah,
America and
yeah,
in Africa.
yeah, right. Yeah. So, so these Europeans left. They left now and still continued ruling from behind. You know, while they were in Europe, but the plan was still going on. You know, because they made sure that they now put leaders after these other leaders. Because if you notice, some of these leaders died out of betrayal, like Patrice Lumumba.
Right.
Patrice Lumumba died because the person who took over him betrayed him.
Mobutu.
Yes. And then you have, I think, Thomas Sankara too.
Yeah.
Thomas Sankara died because the person who took over him betrayed him.
He's on exile right now. I think in Ivory Coast. The what's his name? The guy that betrayed Thomas Sankara. He was like his and see, and it was crazy
right.
in both situations.
Yes.
They were like each other's right hand man. So I
Yes.
think Mobutu was like Patrice Lumumba's right hand man.
Yeah.
And then with Thomas Sankara, Thomas Blige, or Blige, Joseph Blaise, that Blaise, Blaise.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was Thomas Sankara's right hand man.
So these people now, the West had understood, and they used them to betray these real leaders, these revolutionaries who were fighting for the freedom of Africans, and that is how they succeeded in instituting these other ones who were puppets. So they knew that, okay, there is something, and I think it has to do with our mindset as well, the weak minds that we have, because they knew that they could do anything to take over us and convince. There were people who were ready to betray their brothers and sisters, so they used the ones that were ready to betray, and that is what has been going on right up till, I think, this moment. That is why you see leaders like my own president in Cameroon, who rules for 35 years. They have a reason they are keeping him there, because he is satisfying their interests and not the interests of the people of Cameroon.
Right.
So they will do everything to keep him there. And even it means that a war has to break out, he will be ready, he is willing to kill his own citizens to satisfy the West.
Let me ask you this, and this is what I noticed when we deal with African leadership versus any other place on the planet.
Yeah.
It seems like African leaders have no integrity. Why do African leaders sell out so easily?
Yeah, it goes with greed, it goes with the test for power, it goes with, because
what power though? They don't have, I mean, what power? What power do they really have?
Yeah, so those same questions I've been asking myself about African leadership for so long now, because you have a people who are willing, like I said, to sacrifice their own citizens to no matter what is happening, just to feed the West. And you will realize that most of these leaders got educated in the West.
Right. And you're right.
Yeah.
All of them did. Even Charles Taylor was educated in the West.
Yeah. And they got their education in the West and they came back, and their administration the same, and you will get to see them telling you, oh, the West is so beautiful, well organized and all of that. But when they come back to their own countries, they cannot implement those ideas, you know. And you begin to ask questions because you don't understand how somebody is really fascinated with the beauty of the West, but cannot emulate certain things, you know, and talk about Western democracy, how it is really powerful and all of that, but they cannot emulate that. So you begin to, I mean, it's really confusing. So then, like I said, I just think that it is because they have been taking, I think they understood their mindset, and understood that they are people who are greedy and will want to, or who were willing to sell out, let me put it that way. And that is why they are using them.
What so why is Africa at the bottom? Why are we at the bottom? And a lot of people say we're not, but when you look at the bigger picture, Africa, Black Americans,
Yeah,
we're at the bottom.
the Caribbean blacks, the Black Americans, Africans, in fact, we are at the bottom. And I will tell you why. We still go back to the motherland, because that is where it all started. Um, you know, so a lot is still going on. Like I said, you still have this legacy of slavery, legacy of colonialism still affecting all of us. And since since we started going through this oppression or struggle, and I think that now we are at a point where the post-colonial era in Africa. But since we still have this leader, like, I still go back to my country to talk about a leader who has been there for 35 years. So he still has that same old mentality. He still has the same, he is not willing to see a change, happen. He is not willing to make that difference. Therefore, there must be a change of leader who has an aspiring mind, a leader who is willing to serve his people and not the people outside. But then if we still have the same old leaders who have been in power for how, definitely nothing will change. Nothing will change. And they are being used. They are being used in a way that, like I said, the West had structured everything. They had everything planned out. For example, if you look at, let me take the case of Gaddafi.
Right.
Who worked so hard for his people.
Right.
And was ready to cause a revolution in Africa through a unitary currency. And he was taken out for that.
Right.
Those are just, okay, I can say those are once in a while leaders who really are out to benefit their own citizens. Because the citizens in Libya lived very well.
Very well.
Yes. They lived very well.
They got free education.
Free education. And even if you graduated from college without a job offer immediately, you were being given some benefits,
Right.
Yes. So they were really, really, they lived so well. So now, but what is going on is that since Africa, these leaders have let their resources to be, the resources in Africa being looted by the West.
Right.
And the people are in this poverty, because you can't understand why a continent so rich materially,
right,
the poorest people in the world. So since these resources are being looted and given away for free to these people, therefore these leaders with this same old idea, colonial idea, they are not willing to even train their citizens or build companies or structures that can train them on how to use these resources. So you have a problem of knowledge. We lack knowledge on these things. You have gold, but you don't know how to make the gold work for you. You don't know how to make the wood or the timber work for you. You don't know how to make this silver work for you or diamond work for you. So those resources are just lying there. And therefore, now you have China coming in,
right,
which is another, and another person coming to, he has seen something and they are coming in, and I think it was last week I was watching some documentary and they were saying, and it was a Chinese documentary, and they were saying they have a vision of making 400 millionaires in China in the next by 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what does that mean? It means a lot, because when they say things like that, already they know where they will get their resources. They know
Right.
where they will get the material, and they know that they have found something in Africa to enrich their citizens. So you see how these people are thinking. You see how they are organizing. You see how they are um, using Africa for their benefit. And there we are, still suffering, still struggling with hunger in some countries, civil wars in some countries, drought in some countries. A continent that has everything, the biggest bodies of water, we have them. We have lakes, mountains, valleys. We have wood, timber, gold, diamond, all of this material wealth and natural resources, but we cannot use them for our own good. It just doesn't make sense.
So what? And we talk about this all the time. What do Africa? Okay, we spoke about the revolution.
Mm-hmm.
What can Africans do to take back control of their resources?
Okay. I will still go back to the idea of knowledge, and I will go back to the idea of um, if it means taking out these leaders by force, if it means these people have to die, then so be it. Because I think some of these people will have to die for progress to take place, honestly. And but then we will still go back to the legacy of colonialism,
Mm-hmm.
because even when Africa was taken hostage, and when the Europeans left, they made sure that Africa was not could not be in a place where they could create their own weapons or nuclear weapons, because that is the power of taking over a country, what they call occupation. So they understood that we shouldn't let these people start creating these things, because it will be worse.
Right.
Yes. So that is, I think, a kind of handicap that Africa still has.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why, despite these people coming in, we can't really fight. The military is not solid. We can
Right.
do anything, because we lack this kind of weapons. We are not creators of our own product, or manufacturers of our own product. And we have to start creating, we have to become creators of all of these things. You cannot go to school, say you are an engineer, but then you can't come up with something you have created. It just doesn't make sense. So we have to go back to the to knowledge, because I think we still need knowledge. Yeah, we still need knowledge, we still need education, and to learn these things and how we can use them to be creators. That is where I think this is where we are still lagging behind. Africans are not yet creators of their own destinies. They don't know how to manufacture, they don't know how to produce their own good. That is why those resources are still lying there untouched,
Right. So, I mean, we have the natural goods. We just don't know how to process it, which is the issue.
Yeah.
Now, outside of a bloody revolution, because I don't want to see our people fighting.
Me too.
I don't. What other options are there?
Yeah, the problem is the leader is not even given a chance for a new person to come in with another idea. That is the scenario we have. They are not even given a chance for somebody who has an opposing view, or who is looking at change in the way we are seeing it. They don't just want you there. So I get what you're saying, and I will say, me too. I don't really want to see people dying. But then when you have leaders like that who are blocking progress, what do you expect? You just have to, take it by force. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But then there can be other strategies, because I will still go back. If you look at blacks, or if you look at all Africans in general, at when it comes to individual success, we are very successful.
Yeah, you have Aliko Dangote. I mean, you have all these rich Nigerians.
Yeah. When it comes to success on an individual basis, we are very successful.
Same thing with Black Americans.
Yes.
You have Oprah.
Yes.
Bob Johnson.
But when it comes to being a collective or working as a group, that is where the problem is.
Right.
And there is no progress without unity. Unity matters in progress. If we don't unite as a people, then we can't do anything. We can't go forward. We can't, because, well, you just be saying, oh, there's a successful architecture, he's an African. That's just on an individual basis.
Right.
So, but then on a collective, because what matters, what gives you the pride is when the continent is powerful, when the country is powerful. That is why if you look at a country like China and Singapore, I will tell you that back in the day.
Okay, you brought up Singapore.
Yeah.
Everybody compares where African nations should be to Singapore.
Yeah.
It's like, because I guess in the 60s, when at the end of colonialism, I don't know if Singapore was colonialized as well. I'm not sure. But we were both kind of the same.
The same. Even India.
Singapore is now, I mean, doing very well, but African nations aren't. And so they always compare to that. Well, look at Singapore. Look how good Singapore is doing. So, but go ahead, finish your statement. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I can tell you that if you look at a country like South Korea, Cameroon lent money to South Korea when South Korea at the time was struggling to stand on its feet.
Right.
Cameroon was there to help South Korea, but today if you seek South Korea, Cameroon can match up with them. They can match up with China. They can match up with Singapore, India, all these countries.
Right. Well, India is not doing too good, man. I mean, I know people on the ground in India. I mean, they're doing better than a lot of Africa, but India and some of these other Middle East countries that people sometimes bring up when comparing to Africa, they're not doing as well. Now, Singapore is doing fucking awesome, and a lot of these Asian countries are.
Yeah, China, Singapore, South Korea, Japan. Yeah, these countries, they are really doing great.
Right, but India, I think outside of them having nuclear weapons, and I think what makes India so great and so powerful is, like for example, when foreigners come to America.
Yeah.
All right. So Koreans control the beauty industry. They control it. Arabs control, and Indians control like the gas stations or whatnot. We'll just say transportation because you need gas to get around. Indians also control IT. So I think the reason why India is doing so good is because they found a niche and they're awesome at it. Africans, we have no niche that we could dominate worldwide.
That is it.
Indians, they have IT and they dominate that shit.
Yeah.
To the point now where you have many people in Silicon Valley, since Trump has passed, I think he's making it hard for Indians to get their green cards or whatnot to come and operate in America. You have many Silicon Valley VPs who are ready to boycott and raise hell if I think it's the HB-22 visa or something like that. And for some reason, Donald Trump interferes with that. So it's just they're great at a niche and they control that niche. That's why it seems like they're doing very well. But the country itself is not the best, and we have to just be honest about that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, the founding age, and that is where I would still say that we get no respect because we haven't found that place too. looking at all these countries, even if you go to the whole of Asia, it's not like every country in Asia is developed. There are many countries that are still suffering, but it's because you have countries like those countries that have succeeded. They are covering for the poorer ones, you know. But the problem with Africa is that we haven't had any one successful black country so far. And if you look at the World Bank report for poorest countries, the first 20 on that list are African countries. And then but for Nigeria, who came up I think 5 years ago as the giant economy.
No longer. I think it's shifted back to South Africa, I think.
Yeah, but now Nigeria is leading.
Again? Okay.
And Nigeria was on that list because they succeeded in reaching, you know, what makes a country among the top world powerful nations. I think you have to be you must have, I think, a GDP of $3 trillion. So Nigeria succeeded in 1 trillion. They got to 1 trillion, something like that. So that is why they were on that list. So they tried. And but then when it comes to the per capita income, which is an income that defines the individual in every country, Africa is still not at that place, because if you look at the level of poverty as compared to the people who are rich, you know, it's still very huge. The poor in Africa still make a greater majority of the population, and so they must be able to cut down on that poverty by redefining a new leadership, a new administration that will be able to put in place the structures that citizens need to, or platforms where citizens can excel, and teach them to use their own resources for their own good. Those are the things we still have, we still face problems with. And it's something that we just need to keep hitting on, and to see how we can progress as a people.
Okay. So we mentioned different immigrants or different people. Like I said, Koreans, they control the beauty industry. Indians control IT.
Yeah.
What niche can Africans control that will help us come up, you know, no longer be at the bottom? Like what niches out there that we can control? We have all the resources.
A lot.
But we don't have a niche. What niche do you think? Because I'll give you an example. So Nigerians, they come to America and they do a lot in the healthcare sector. So they have a lot of dialysis clinics, you know, urgent care clinics. They do a lot of healthcare.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's not benefiting Nigeria itself, because, and we'll get into this later, how brain drain is also affecting Africa. But what niche can Africans pick up that will, you know, help them, will help raise them up?
You know, to me, I don't want to go for any particular niche, because we have the resources, you know. So I don't want to go for any particular resource. The thing is, we just need to target what the West has been chasing after. We just need to target what the Chinese are chasing after. If they are coming for your gold, then take control of your gold. If they are coming for your timber, take control of your timber. Be controllers of your own resources, you know. Micromanage them, and build structures, open more industries, and send your citizens for training, you know, who can be able to come back and say, to use that gold to produce maybe jewelry, you know, that can compete on a global stage, to use the wood to manufacture chairs, to manufacture tables or cupboards that can compete on a global stage, to use the diamond, you know, and all of these resources, because Africa is the only continent with those natural resources, and that is why
Right.
every part of the world is chasing after. I still go back
Mhm.
to Singapore. Singapore is a country that has nothing,
Nothing.
but they succeeded in using what? I think it's their water. What they had is
There's a lot of tech going on in Singapore.
yes, in making a name for themselves. India too. India succeeded with not only IT but agriculture as well. And Africa has all of that. We are a continent that most of our economy is based on agriculture. Even
Right.
this issue of vegan food, eating organic food. Africans have been eating organic food right from the
Forever.
time they were born.
Yeah.
We've
Oh,
been
that's just fresh.
farming, we've been growing our own product, but
Hmm.
it's just that we are still limited in the way we carry them to the market. In marketing this produce, you know, it's still not very competitive on the global stage, you know, and that is where we are. That is the problem we have. So we need knowledge on how to macro manage these things and how to be producers of all these resources.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Nancy Kimbo,
Okay.
Doug, and JJ Redwood for their contribution. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, everybody who's in the chat room right now with us. Any of you three, do you guys have a question you want to ask Miss Achinko? If you do, just go ahead and post it in the chat. I'll make sure we'll ask it. All right. So I mentioned brain drain.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we'll use you as an example. You're
Yes.
from Cameroon. You decided to come to Chicago and go to DePaul.
Yeah.
So, part A of the question will be, why did you leave to come to DePaul? And then part B is, do you plan on, all right, Black Critical Thinkers, he's out of here. Let's see here. Remove. Hold on one second. All right, he's gone because he has been trolling. We had to troll in the chat room. I had to get rid of him. Okay, and part B is, do you plan, acknowledging that there is a brain drain problem with Africa,
Mm-hmm.
how Africa's talent, most best talent, is leaving the country
Mm-hmm.
and rarely coming back or not coming back at all?
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan on going back to the continent for good?
Yes, I love my continent,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to make a difference. And I came because actually we don't have those platforms, like I said, and I'm here for the knowledge. I'm here to train myself in what will help me to go back and implement it. You know, because for me, I'm one of those passionate Africans who want to see a change, and I want to be part of that change. I want to be part of that story, and I really want to be there to see that it works.
Mm-hmm. And then also too, you know, when we bring up the subject of the diaspora going back to help, and to be more specific, when we talk about Black Americans contributing to Africa,
Yeah,
you know, many bring up the whole Liberia thing.
yeah,
What role can Black Americans play in contributing to building up Africa?
yeah. They can do a lot. There is just a lot because given that they grew up, they were raised here, and they have spent all their lives here. Definitely, there are certain things that you must have seen, um, like the positive aspect of what made the West a great place to be. You know, so I think that it will be important that you can translate that positivity back to the continent, and in various ways, in sport, in music, in education, in everything, you know, militarily, everything. And bring it back to Africa and see how we can build a great continent. That is the only legacy we have as Blacks. That is the only legacy we must hold on to. And therefore, to me, it's open to everybody that is out here. Be it you're a Caribbean Black, Black American, or an immigrant Black, you have a part to play in building Africa, and I think that's a great idea.
Okay, what industries can we help in Africa, specifically Black Americans?
Yeah, I think I think there are a lot. For example, the power lies in the economy and industrialization of Africa, which is some other thing that many leaders have neglected in the country. And these industries are what drives the economy of every country and the resources. And Africa, I think the industrial part of Africa is not very strong. It lacks a lot of experts. So we need experts, like I said, and I still go back to the idea of knowledge. We need all these people, whatever knowledge you have, whatever expertise you have in what you've been doing, you can bring it, and let's see how we can make these industries grow and how we can use these resources in these industries and build more industries which don't exist. Because like I said, we can have these resources but don't know what to do with it. Therefore we need to create industries and training centers and to build skills of the citizens, of the people, and how they can use it to improve their continent. I think that's what we need as a people.
Ninta Benetta made a great point. She said Black Americans who are not suffering from mental slavery can be a huge asset for Africa. Same for the diaspora in general. I completely, I agree. I completely agree. But see, now this is my argument.
Okay.
I believe and I know because I go to Africa. In fact, I'll be back in Africa first week in November.
Yeah, I've been seeing your works.
Thank you. You're
doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. There's a lot of African ingenuity on the continent.
Exactly.
There's a lot of bright people on the continent.
Exactly.
Why isn't this talented? Why isn't this talent being utilized that's already there on the continent?
Okay, like I said, the administration or the leaders are not really giving a place for their own citizens to excel, and that is why it's I think it's been it's just now many people, many Africans.
Hold on, my son just came in. Go ahead and keep talking.
Okay.
I gotta give him some apple juice. Go look in the refrigerator. Can you not open up the refrigerator? Yes. Okay, it's on the side. If you need help, I'll come down there. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, many of the citizens are not given the opportunity to excel even in their own countries. Because when you have a minister or you have a leader in an administration who embezzles billions of dollars and then takes that money and goes back only to the white man to invest it in their own country, that money is money that could change the community. That money is money that could do a lot. But then they prefer to take it away, even out of their own country and continent, to invest it back in the land, in the white man's land. What does that tell you about them? It shows greed. It just shows a people who are selfish. It just shows a people who are not even willing to invest in the lives of their own citizens. And therefore, that is why the citizens, you see them, they are struggling for survival. You see this constant risk African take to cross the Mediterranean to go to Europe.
Right.
And a lot of them are dying. A lot of them are dying.
And also being sold into slavery now.
Yes. So you look at that and you begin to ask questions. And none of these leaders have ever bothered to address the situation. It is none of their business, you know. So those are some of the things we face. We feel neglected as people of these countries or citizens of this continent, and there is nobody to make us feel like we belong even in our own country. It's a sad situation.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe, and somebody said this in the chat room, shout out to Yasmin, do you think Africans have an issue with trusting one another?
I would say so far, yes. Yeah, because from what has been going on, nobody can trust anybody now because the.
I get it. Hey, go ahead. No, go ahead and finish. Let me go ahead and give me 30 seconds, but go ahead and finish.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we have a problem with trust. I think we have a problem with just trusting one another, because the corruption has existed for long. So it has made a lot of people not wanting to put their confidence in each other, not wanting to just relate, or maybe you can't even come up with an idea of wanting to with a project, and you think that you can confide in somebody to work together and you know, make that project a success. There is nobody who you think will be willing to help you out, just because of the corrupt state of the country, just because of the corrupt state of the leadership, and you have these people, all of them not willing to even endorse your project or put support you financially to make the project work. So I think that is the problem we are facing as citizens of our nations, because you don't just know how you can. There are a lot of Africans who have projects, who have ideas of change, who want to change their continent, but they just can't put it out there, even take it to the administration for support, because they know nobody will support them. They know nobody will endorse the projects. They know nobody will want to see that they become a success. And that is why you find a huge number of African youth running away or leaving their continent or seeking for salvation outside, because their own government have not given them the opportunity to excel or to perform and show how much they know in contributing in their countries. And therefore it's just a cycle that keeps going, that keeps repeating itself. And well, we just continue to pray for that unity and to see how we can work together as a people, to see how we can unite and build, see how we can come together to make the continent a great one, a successful one, by bringing our ideas in whatever thing, you know, we need the youth of Africa, because most of Africa population is youthful. Yes. I think the dominant age group is between 19 to 35. So you find a continent that has a lot of youth. You find a continent that has a lot of young people. And these young people have great ideas. These young people have aspire for a lot, for a better life. They want a better Africa. They want a better country. And they want to contribute and make it a success. But then who is there to stand and hold their hands? Who is there to support them or endorse the projects they come up with? We don't have leaders who are ready to invest in the youth.
Yeah, I think, let's see if we got any more questions in the chat room. Let's see here. Black Critical Thinkers, we spoke on military power as far as Africa goes, because we have no military. I mean, you look at, let's take, for example, North Korea. You got a guy in North Korea who's been threatening to blow up America, wipe out America. I will launch the missile right now. My finger's on the button. I will launch it. And what are you guys going to do about it? And the best response that we could come up with is Donald Trump calling him a rocket man. Meanwhile, in Africa, I mean, look at what happened to Gaddafi. Gaddafi was getting dragged on national TV in the middle of the street, just getting dragged.
Yeah.
Car or horse, but whatever, just getting dragged in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
You watched his assassination.
Yeah.
And the question is, okay, so Gaddafi is part of the African Union. We know the African Union allegedly has this military, I guess. And I think when there was a situation in Burundi, or when you had a situation in Gambia with the leader who didn't want to leave, African Union, and even in right now Somalia, I believe they have African Union troops there. Why didn't these African Union troops come and save Gaddafi when he was getting dragged in the middle of the streets? And then also, too, do you think that if African countries became nuclear, will the West think twice in regards to exploiting them? Like they're thinking twice about North Korea. I mean, they've been, I will blow America up. I will wipe out the entire East Coast.
Yes.
I'm testing bombs right now as we speak. He brags about it. He laughs about it. And the West won't do anything. But in Africa, if you as much, even if you're associated, you gotta think about it. Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara were both murdered because they were loosely associated with communists. But to this day, America would not go head to head with Russia if it's really about ending communism. So do you think if African countries or the African Union, when I became nuclear, that our relationship with the West would change completely?
Exactly. See, the truth is, Africa has no respect. Let me be clear on that. There is no respect given to Africa, and there is no respect given to Africa's children all over the world. I will tell you why. Because we don't have the nuclear, we don't have power. Let me put it that way. Yes, we haven't, as a people or as a continent, we haven't worked for our own pride, and that is why nobody cares about us. So whatever is happening to us, it's none of their business. Whoever is dying is none of their business. It's just like you have, it's just a forgotten part of the world, a forgotten part in terms of really addressing the needs or the situation of Africa. Nobody cares. Nobody will do it. Nobody will do it. But I think the respect that is given to every other country is because they have like carved a niche, like we said earlier, for themselves, and they have positioned themselves out there. I still go back to a country like China. China was never colonized. They kept their culture, they kept their language, and they built for themselves. So that is why they respect China. You go to North Korea, the same. You go to South Korea, the same. You go even to India, who seems not to be very developed, but Indians still have respect. But when you come to a place like Africa, nobody cares, because when there is no pride in the continent, or when, yes, we haven't succeeded in giving it that pride, and we haven't succeeded in building even one successful Black nation, and that is why we suffer wherever we go.
Okay. So let's end on a positive note.
Okay.
Let's see if we got any questions in the chat room. Anybody? Let's see here. We cannot afford to be selfish. I completely agree. Why do Africans abandon their countries? I guess because lack of opportunity. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. African leaders think they can buy everything they need and not know how to fix it. Let's see here. Power comes from mastering technology. I agree. We talked about that. So, you know, I'm gonna let you close out. But my final question. O'Shea's going live. Okay, I'm definitely gonna hop out his situation. So let's close out with this on a positive note. We got to offer some solutions, and we gave some.
Yeah.
What other solutions can we give or offer so that Africa could be back on top, like we were in the days of Mansa Musa? What can we do?
We need to come together. Number one.
Okay.
We need to come together. We must be conscious of this unity. We must be conscious of putting Africa first. You know, we must be conscious of making that pride, understanding that whatever work we are doing it for the motherland. We are doing it for the continent. We are doing it because of Africa. Once we are conscious of that, you will see the need to work for it. You will see the need to invest in it. You will see the need to, you really don't matter what every other person is saying. Like now, if you look at the way Blacks or we Africans think, we always want approval. We always want to be acknowledged by the white man. We want to, you want to win the Oscars. You want to do this. We can create our own things and celebrate ourselves, you know,
right.
Celebrate our beauty, celebrate our talent, celebrate our everything that we've got going on. You know, we don't need anybody to come out and tell us, oh, you are not, it doesn't matter. You know, we just have to understand that we are doing this for self-pride and for the pride of the continent. Once we start thinking that way, then we'll move forward. And then, like I said, we still need the knowledge. We need the knowledge because we have to be creators of our own destiny. We need to be able to create, or use as resources to manufacture things. And we can't do that without being trained on those things. So the leadership, we need a change in leadership. We need people who can come and say, who are for the people, you know, leaders who are for the people, and then who can create platforms, industries.
Master, give me 2 minutes, okay?
Centers where the citizens can be trained and how they can use that knowledge to produce. And we have to start thinking in long term and not short term. Most of Africa thinks in the short term. You have to be able to know that if there is a drought tomorrow, what are we going to do with the water we have? If there is hunger tomorrow, what are we going to do with the soil or agriculture? That is how we have to start thinking. We need to be, like I said, creators of our own destiny and manufacturers of our own product.
Well, Estelle, Mr. Achinko, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Again, I like to get more sisters involved and engaged on platforms like this because they would not give you guys a platform anywhere else. Instead, they got these girls talking about everything else but Africa and all just types of crazy stuff. So I'm so happy that we finally linked up. And again, I want you to come back again. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you.
Estelle, how can people get in contact with you if you want them to?
Yeah, so my Gmail, like I said, is Mrs. Achinko Mrs. as an MRS, then ACHINKO @gmail.com. And you can follow me on my Instagram at Endalead. Endalead, ENDAHLEAD. Endalead. That's my IG. And then my Gmail is Mrs. Achinko @gmail.com.
All right, perfect, perfect. And then for me, guys, search for Huru. Make sure you're on my Instagram. You're following me and liking me on my Instagram page. Search for Huru. Also on my Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Also go to dynastamir.com. Go to searchforhuru.com. Make sure you go to amazon.com and search your name, Dynastamir. Everybody, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. I'll be back on maybe later on today. If not, definitely I will be back on tomorrow with the got a marathon tomorrow. So I'll be pretty busy tomorrow. So, and guess what? My damn mouse went dead. So I can't click on the stop button because my mouse went dead. Hold on 1 second. I got to get my USB charger.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no worries. Like I said, come back.
Yes, I definitely will.
We got we have some technical difficulties. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this new Mac computer, and like the only way to really charge it up, when the mouse goes dead, to charge it up, you got to plug it into the actual computer itself. So it just went dead on me. Okay, let's see if I can get this back working now. Estelle, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh-oh, here comes everybody. Here comes my son who wants to steal the show. Say hello, master.
Hello.
Man, stop it. Don't do that. So he walks in, hits me, and he walks off. See how he does me? He thinks it's funny, too. See how he does me? Okay, turn the mouse back on. And he's back there laughing. Hear him laughing? Oh, let me see if it's working now. All right, here we go. Okay, let me go ahead and close this out before it goes back dead.
Okay.
Everybody, thank you for coming on. Till next time. Peace.
Thank you.
Peace.